Yeah, there we fucking go. Everybody turn your camera on. Elizabeth, how are you?
Doing good.
Long time no talk.
Yeah.
How you been? What's been the inside scoop?
Nothing, just I am now trying to learn more about figuring out what's the actual bottleneck of the business. Like I'm doing a lot of stuff, my outputs a lot. Like when I'm talking to people, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like I'm working on this project, I'm improving this thing. So doing a lot of stuff. But if I'm doing a lot of stuff and the sales growth isn't what I want it to be, then I'm doing the wrong stuff. So what's the right stuff? I got to figure it out.
So let's find the right stuff. The big levers, as they say, or the small hinges that swing big doors.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, it's good to see you. And actually, it's good to see everybody. So it looks like, why are you on gallery or speaker view? 1 second here. All these beautiful people. Come on. Joey, what's up, man?
Hey, Dylan, long time no see.
It's been a little bit.
It's been a while.
It's been like a month.
Yeah, I know. Well, new house.
Dude, every time I see you, you got a new house.
Bro, I don't know. I don't know what to say, but it's true.
I love it. Hey, I like this house. This looks nice. Is that a little patio area?
Yeah, I think it's the best one I've had. Like I can do meditation and contemplation looking at my bamboo stuff. I have a pool out like upstairs. There's a cool space. I like this stuff. So yeah, I like this vibe.
Still in old Peru?
Yeah, man. I don't know what to say. I like to move around. I have a trip to Colombia. I have some friends I need to visit, but I like it here. I frankly did this and Eastern.
Yeah.
I got a trip to Thailand that I don't know when to do it, but yeah.
Nice. All right. Cool. Cody, what's up, dude?
Yo, Dylan, how the heck are you, man?
Really good.
Dude, you leveled up your set, dude. Nice microphone, nice light. Look at you go.
We're setting up. I got to get a camera like you though.
Dude, this is like the new move. I'm sick of hooking up all my shit.
Yeah, I got to get like the cool DSLR, little mirrorless maybe. I don't know. I got to get something nice. I will though. I will.
Did you do some America shit for the 4th?
America shit?
Yeah.
Honestly, I was working on this training for you guys, so I stayed in. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Good to see you. How you doing? Are you still doing the wedding filming?
Yeah, full-time, 100% doing it. Seems like this year's a little bit slower, and so I don't know if I'm not sure. I got to get better at like setting and do some more calls and do some more. I don't know. We're gonna reposition everything and start aiming for the luxury market too, because the country folks around here are down bad. So we're gonna start getting out.
The affluence. Nice, dude. Well, we'll dive into that today. So glad to see you here. Glad to see you here. Hey, all right. So I got Phil, Nicole, Sam. You know the drill. Turn on your camera. I gotta see you. I gotta see you to know you're real. You guys awake? This thing on? All right. Well,
I'm multitasking, so I'm eating and doing like 3 different things at the same time. So I
don't want to see you eating.
You want to see me eating?
Oh man, how you been?
Yeah, I'm all right. How you been?
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Yeah. Good to hear from you.
Good. You too.
Nicole and dipping in and out is still getting kids. All right. Understood. So it's a small room right now. Anybody here good with Zoom? Like understand it pretty well? I'm having a hard time live streaming.
I do not know Zoom.
Yeah. I used to, it like changed because I used to live stream all the time, and now I'm like, where's the button? Like, oh, here it is. I got it. So bear with me, guys. So while I'm doing this and we're doing techie stuff, I'll start with you, Elizabeth. What's the number one thing you want to learn today on this call?
I'm trying to synthesize it because my brain's been all over looking at my sales process. And I think I'm realizing if I didn't have as much churn and I need to go and fully calculate that, I would have been bigger than I am now. But now I'm thinking I might be incorrectly setting expectations in the sales process. So maybe more like how sales process flows into operations and how one can like do a good job and what the cadence looks like. And to be perfect, so I went through some of this, like some scripts, but also my process isn't super scripted either. So trying to think of like how I can get better at that. I guess that's where my brain's at.
Gotcha. Understood. So systematizing it, making it more predictable, and setting expectations for your prospects or yourself.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Like for little things, I started doing much better at my first call. So I have a 2 sale kind of close. I do an audit of people's accounts because for everyone we do like advertising management ongoing.
Okay.
So the first one is getting kind of where they want to be at, their problems, their issues, their dreams, hopes. I've done much better at that. And then it flows into an audit process, and then the audit flows. I mean, if they buy, it flows into an onboarding. So my onboarding process is really, actually I had somebody go through it and was like, oh my gosh, yours is the easiest process, and like it's so streamlined, it's great. Like, so I got good feedback about that. But I'm realizing I do good setup on getting expectations, what do you want, hopes and dreams, backlog, all that good stuff on the first call. I don't think I'm realizing I'm not doing as good of a job at connecting the pieces, I don't think. So for instance, if I do good if I do hopes and dreams and ideas, the first one, right? And then I go into the audit, I'm thinking I should do, okay, yeah, just as a quick recap, this is what I'm understanding. I was thinking almost kind of like, this is where I'm understanding, you want it to be, okay, here's what we found in your ads. And then I think the piece I'm missing is flipping it into, oh, okay, so this is what you told me. Here's where you're at now. Here's where we can get you, kind of.
Okay.
And then wanting to flow the here's where I can get you piece, and then taking that out and sticking that on the end of the onboarding process. So the whole thing kind of like seamlessly flows. So now it's like, it's not bad, but it's like hopes and dreams. Okay, here's an audit. Do you want to buy? Okay, great. Now here's the onboarding. There's no like, it's not like it's not, because they're still with me and I'm still.
So it's just a little clunky.
Yeah, I'm still over the whole process. And then I've noticed an issue. And at first I thought it was like a client communication issue. But now I'm thinking I might be just setting really poor expectations, or either poor expectations or not properly vetting in the sales process.
Okay.
I've had a couple people now, like the one guy was just like making changes to all of the ads. I mean, to be honest, the guy was just certifiable, if we're being honest. He showed up to a call Friday. And he told me, he's like, all right, this is not, because I basically told him like, stop touching everything or fire me, because like, I'm not doing this. Like my account manager is literally resetting everything you're doing because it's so terrible. And so I got on that call and he was like, oh yeah, so I'm going to make this call super short. Like, we're going to part ways. And I said, okay, cool. I said, let me better understand this. So it came down to, he's like, the results you're getting are amazing, and all of my team's telling you you're like the best person I've ever worked with, but like I'm not seeing the nitty gritty. Like I want to play by play. And I'm like, dude, I just don't work like that. So I was like, all right, that's fine. Like, I don't want to work with you anyways. Cause that's like, I'm not going to work. Like you're telling me I got you the most amazing results ever. And then you still don't want to work with me because of why? Like, you're a mess, but
there's some there's some
yeah.
pre-frame stuff I'm going to go into on this call. And to understand a pre-frame, it's essentially what like expectations and like what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, there's going to be a frame as soon as we step into this like box of like, this is now the frame. And so whenever you don't have pre-frames or there's not like prerequisite type of information, it sounds crazy right now, but I have some visuals to help you understand it.
No, that makes sense.
But yeah, so there's always an indoctrination type process.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because then people misbehave. That's just people.
I think I'm missing out in the sales process. Like there's some disconnect between them going, okay, you're getting me results, but like they're not.
Remember, it's always a communication issue.
Yeah, that's what I figure. I'm like, I'm saying something or I'm doing something that doesn't have them hand off. You are the expert in this arena to me. Because if they're going in and making changes, it means they think they're the expert, which is completely false.
Yeah, so which is a frame issue.
So I'm not setting myself up. And I've had this happen more than one time. So me go, okay, it's a me problem. Yeah. I need to fix it. And I think it's
taking responsibility.
I think it's in the sales process. I thought it was in the like the handoff. And I'm like, no, I think it's in the beginning.
Yeah. We'll go into that just for the sake of time. I do want to make this around an hour. And I want to like get into the nitty gritty, the good shit, as they say. And I want to say hi to everybody. So Diego, bro, this is like themed for you. The chess not checkers strategy. You're gonna love this. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the invitation. And yeah, I'm here to supervise that you talk about chess properly.
Yeah. So to be clear, I'm not that good at chess. Everybody here, but I like the analogy, and I understand it's very strategic. So it's kind of how I think about things. The more long term, the more like 10 steps ahead you can get, the more you can be less blindsided by things in life, right? It's a life philosophy, but it's also like a messaging, sales, connecting with people, understanding people. It's a philosophy for everything, right? So who else? Daniel, my man. What's up, dude?
What's going on? Still here, still alive.
I know, I'm alive. I didn't die. You're alive too.
Yeah, I'm still here, man.
We did great.
Yeah.
We did great. Nicole, holy crap. It's good to see you too.
Great to see you too, Dylan, and everybody else in the group.
How are you doing?
Okay, it's 8:15 here, so just shove them into bed and get some peace. But yeah.
Everybody be quiet. Everybody be quiet on this call. All right, so let's jump in. Cool. So in the chat, why don't I do this? I'm just going to give you kind of a high-level strategy overview of how I understand this game, and then we're going to get a little bit more nitty-gritty. I'll just kind of give you a backstory. Before, when I taught Messaging Mastery, we had success. Things went well. People understood the tactics. There was a mental framework that they were missing, though, right? And I'll be totally honest, like that's my bad, right? And I also kind of was missing it too. Okay, so as I kind of gone through my journey in this past year and a half, 2 years, I started to realize like you got to be so much more than just kind of the tactician. You have to be very strategic, right? So we're going to go into on this call things like how people view you in perceptions, in framing perceptions. We're going to go into things like power dynamics, okay, and understanding status. And I've seen it where I've trained guys that are really, really good in DMs. Like they're just so like suave and they got the skills, but there's something missing in their status, in their frame, and they're getting squashed by people. And so I was wondering, like, why is this? So there's this whole background of these things that you have to create and these kind of persuasions that you have to have in your game And when you do it this way, I've seen it where, how come my DMs are like buttery smooth, where like people are like, hey, can I please get on a call with you? I've had it like where people are like, hey, can you just send me a link? I got to pay you, right? We've been closing deals in DMs, like crazy stuff. But then I see people where everything's like this grind and it's hard and nobody wants to listen to them and they don't give them any attention, right? Give me a 1 in the chat if you feel like your DMs are kind of grindy. It kind of feels like a grind and it hurts and it's kind of like demotivating, right? So I surveyed you guys. I surveyed a couple of my groups, and I realized that one of the biggest issues was I'm not taking action. Well, how could you take action if you're swimming through molasses? It's a grind. It's an emotional heave, right? So it's not very good. So I want to make it to where I also want to ask you guys a question. Type a 2 in the chat if you've ever had like a really good deep conversation with somebody, or you went out like to a bar or something, you had a lot of conversations and you felt better afterwards. You ever feel that way? Like type a 2 in the chat if you felt like lighter, you felt clearer, you were like, wow, like I feel like I got something off my chest. Like you feel good, right? Because you're socializing. Well, there's some really deep, like who wants to go deep down a rabbit hole on this call at some point? All right, cool. I figured you did. All right. So on a quantum level, all right, and a lot of you here like understand the mind. You were all clients of Bulletproof, and you guys have cleared a lot of the particles and the heavy energetic charge out of your mind. Well, another way to clear charge is by communicating, right? And so when you communicate, you're essentially transferring ideas, kind of like when you've journaled. When you journal, actually, let me mute. I think it's you or you. All right, cool. So when you journal and you get ideas, give me a second. Speaker view. Yo, am I speaker view? Is this gallery view for you guys? Can you guys see me as like speaker view? Gallery.
Gallery, but I can see you.
It's interesting. Why is it doing this way? Hide non-video participants, full screen. Whatever. One thing I got to be more strategic in is technology. Okay. So when you're communicating and you're bouncing particles of ideas off of people and they're bouncing them back and you guys are getting a good affinity with each other, you're going to feel a lot better. And then it's motivating and you will keep doing it. So I realized like people don't want to talk to people because they're just hitting these massive resistance bands with other people, right? So the biggest issue here that I've seen with just everybody is there's something blocking each other's like flow of communication. Okay. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense. All right, cool. So we're going to dig into how to like actually like clear that up. But let's go high level strategy, then we'll dig in. Let me know if you can see my screen here. Can you see this? Can you see it? Can you see it? Beautiful. And then what we'll do, I'm going to pull up chat so I can see. All right. So everybody here, how do you produce clients? Type a 1 in the chat if you do it with DMs. Just cold outbound DMs. One. All right. Everybody just outbounds messages, inbound content. Cool. Good. Currently no DMs, just ads. Beautiful. Inbound for us, inbound from content. Cool. So it's a mix of inbound and outbound. All right. So although everybody's like more clients, right? I want more clients, I want more people, I want to make more sales, I want more income. All that is great. I've noticed when you're starting out, you're doing it with the intention to produce income for your business, right? I mean, are you just DMing people for fun? Or are you DMing people because you want business? Be honest. It's business, right? You want business. I want business to come to me. I want to close deals and I want to make money. All right. Great. Well, what's happening is although you're correct, you should do that to increase income and to close deals. What's happening is you're causing resistance because of your intention. Okay. I was training my team, we had 3 people in DMs. And I said, I want you to, right now you're giving yourself an identity. And right now you're giving yourself an identity of an appointment setter. Right. And then I'm like, okay, so you're an appointment setter. Like, actually you are. But what if you came in with the identity of I'm going to be a problem solver. I'm going to be a curious problem solver today. Who do you think is going to book more calls? Is it the problem solver guy who's curious and wants to help people solve their problems as an identity? Or is it the appointment setter? Which one? 2 for appointment setter, 1 for problem solver. Oh, shit. It's a 1. Okay. It's a 1. So you mean to tell me that the intention and the identity that you have is what's going to change the way that people perceive you? Interesting. So what I'm going into here is messaging, a messaging strategy. Everybody's messaging with this intention, and they're killing their brand. You don't even realize it. Who here has seen, raise your hand if you've seen like those screenshots of people getting made fun of online, of DMs, like just getting rejected and blasted. Yeah. What about the people that have some couth, that have some respect and aren't like blasting people? Like, they're still thinking it. So how many people, who here understands what mental real estate is? Like the concept of mental real estate. Cody, what is mental real estate?
It's like the amount of working memory you have in your brain at a time, basically. Like your kind of mental RAM in a way.
Yeah. So essentially we all have like a hierarchy of what we remember. And when you do something and it stands out, people remember it, and they assign a positive or a negative to it, right? This guy is a spammy asshole, negative. This guy is a helpful friend, positive, right? And every time your face is seen, you're plugged into somebody's mind. And if you do this enough times and you create more positive experiences, you're basically planting your face and your business as seeds in everybody's mind, which is essentially what branding is. Branding is when people remember you as an expert, and then when they have a problem, they're like, oh yeah, that guy, I remember he was super helpful and awesome. I'm going to go to him, right? So let's do some math here. How many messages, who here has been told to send 100 DMs a day, or 200 DMs a day, or dial 500 people in the phone book a day? Who's been told that? Yeah. Like the sales gurus, right? It's just volume. You just fucking pound the fucking pavement. Get them, right? It's like a battle. Why the hell are you battling your prospects? Why should it feel like a heavy battle? Well, if it feels like a heavy battle, it's because it's wrong. If it feels fun and light, and attractive, it's because it's right. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. You got to battle them. You got to fight them, right? Well, you're coming in with that intention. You're calling them and you're weirding people out. Okay. So here's the thing with an online outbound strategy versus a phone. A phone, nobody sees you or knows you and you disappear forever. Right? Online, you're friends with them on Facebook, Instagram. They have your brand. They can Google you. Right? Who's getting a little bit of anxiety when I talk about this? Be honest. Yeah, a little bit. They can Google you. They're seeing like, okay, why did this guy just push me? And what happens is they're seeing you as that person. But what you're not realizing is, let's say you do 100 outbound DMs and you just go do a very aggressive sales strategy. You're just aggressively trying to get people on calls. Hey, what's your problem? What's your problem? What's your problem? Nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's just when you're aggressive with it, people kind of tend to not want to reply again after you hit them up. Right? And what happens is, let's say 1 out of that 100 books a call and closes. Okay. Now you have 99 people that don't want to reply to you, even though the strategy on paper, short term, not strategic, not checkers. The short term they close and you made money. So now you're thinking, oh, this works. But you have 99 people that could have been prospects long term down the road that are now like kind of turned off. Instead, what we're doing here is we're building a brand through cold DMs. Okay. If you've seen the team I was on last, that brand got big and we were pumping cold DMs, but we were doing it in a way where we were giving. Who here has like gotten value from us for free? Who's gotten value from me? John Shooty, just like tons of stuff. And did you remember us after that? You remembered us. Isn't that interesting? So you're remembering us, and that's essentially that mental real estate. And the more mental real estate you're building, the more RAM, like you said, Cody, you're taking up in someone's mind, right? So we're essentially, you're creating this massive leverage, this massive hive mind of people that know, like, and trust you through DMs, when the old ways of branding is just kind of post content and hope people watch. What if you just say, hey, I'm going to give this to you because I know you need it, and they watch it and they're like, dude, that was actually really good. But they would have never had the chance if you just tried to go and sell them a $10,000 item. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So really, cold DMing is a means to an end. It's not an end all be all strategy. Okay. It's not something that you want to do forever because it's inefficient. The cold DMing is designed to build something. It's you're trying to compile people to build kind of this something that builds itself. And I'll go into this. So it's chess, not checkers. This is where this comes from. All right. It's more strategic than it is like kind of just it's more multiplication as opposed to addition. Okay. All right. So first things first, to play the game, you need to know the rules. Okay. Who here has played a video game? You didn't know how to play it and it wasn't very fun. Yeah. Lame video game. All right. So you need to know the rules. A game consists of three things: freedom, barriers, and purposes. So essentially, in normal terms, this is the freedom to choose. You have the freedom to make whatever move you want to make. Okay. The barriers or opponents, which is the resistance that makes the game challenging and fun. If you get on a video game and you go straight to the last level with the big boss, is it going to be very fun? No, it's too much. There's not enough challenge. It's going to be boring. As opposed to what happens if you stay on level 1 and you just keep winning over and over again. It's also going to be boring. So I want you to understand this game of people kind of like this, right? And you've got to keep leveling it up. And then the purposes, there's a goal. There's an actual intention. There's a goal. Right now, if you're starting out, and I'll kind of get into this, but this is like kind of like how life works. So everything is comprised of multiple games and side quests, right? Everything kind of, you ever feel like everything's just kind of like going to the grocery store is kind of a game in itself, right? I got to go weave through old people. I got to like, hopefully not like kick someone's cart. I got to find like the right vegetables that aren't rotten. It's a whole game. Okay. And so if we look at this, the messaging and the networking and building groups of people and things like this, what we're doing right now, it's like a game. And if you look at it this way, then you understand that there's levels. And the only reason it feels so heavy and hard is because you're skipping a level. You're actually skipping a level. So you didn't do level 1. You just went straight for level 8. And so if you see a lot of these bigger kind of like training businesses, the reason why like they're like maybe there's not as high success rate is because they have like level 10 strategies of sales and like inbound leads, and like they're driving traffic. They got leads out the ass. People are dialing them. It's like a whole different game as opposed to when you're starting your business. Does that make sense? Cool. So, the people game, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about people. So let's take DMing and like the strategies out of it. We're just talking about people right now. Okay. Human beings, other people. So the rules. Can you zoom into your text a little more, please? Give me a second. Can you see this? Does that look better? All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you. It's too much. All right, great. Give me a second. And let's do 150. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Look better? Sweet. All right. First one. So first thing about a game, for the game to be fun, you need to know the rules. Okay. First rule, you need to fully, this is paramount. This is all the pre-frame stuff I was talking about. Fully intend to get everyone you interact with to a win. Okay. For yourself, when you're starting, you get yourself to a win. But when you're working with people, and I get it, people are, who here feels like fucking people are frustrating? A little frustrating. They're just messy. Sometimes they're disorganized. They don't call you back or text you back, right? They're, they say one thing and then the next day they back out. It's just a whole bunch of shit, right? So what happens is we kind of get bogged down and we get a little resentful, maybe a little spiteful of people. And it blocks us from really, really, truly intending to get people to a win, to a real breakthrough in their life. Who here feels it from me that I'm really trying to get you guys to a win? Do you feel that from me? Okay. Amazing. I hope so. That's it's my intention. All right. So if you're coming into an interaction, and like I said in the beginning of this call, remember how I said you get into an interaction and you're thinking, I don't want to get rejected, right? You're thinking, I need money. I need to make sales. I'm a little behind on KPIs. I'm here, I'm there, I'm whatever. And what happens is this thought of getting in somebody to a win kind of gets diminished. It kind of gets on the back burner, right? And so now you're taking that energy and you're pulling it inward as opposed to putting that energy outward. You see that? And so I've seen it. This is where the difference, like I said, with setters I've worked with, some setters start crushing it. Some setters don't. And there's a weird thing that goes on, even though they're saying the same thing, there's like an energy to it. Why is that? One person really gives a shit about getting this person to a win. Some people you can't, and you're going to fail. Some people you absolutely can, but at least you're intending. Okay. And they feel it from you. And if you do that, they're going to feel it from you. They're going to trust you. They're going to know you. They're going to follow you. And you have that mental real estate. Okay. You giving them really positive emotions. So let's define a win. It could be a breakthrough. It could be a good interaction. Like I said, like just helping someone get something off their chest. A lot of you guys have had sales calls with me. Do you feel like I kind of like gave you some space to like get some shit off your chest? Maybe, maybe just let something out that was just like bothering you. Right. Just that alone. Let's say like you didn't close. Just that alone probably would be amazing. Right. That alone could help you do a lot of things, and you'll remember that. It's a good emotion. Okay. If you've ever like had somebody you vented to, if you vented to them, you like them more. You kind of like them more after it because they gave you that space. So it could be, again, give me a second here. It could be a breakthrough. It could be a good interaction, be good emotions. It could be closing them into your program. It could be referring them to somebody it could be, it's just whatever's in their best interest. And if you think from their best interest, they no matter how hard you challenge them or how much you push them, you could always go back to saying, dude, this is for you. It's not for me. And they'll see that and they'll know that. And it's because of that intention. Let's see here. Number 2, like I said, you cannot skip levels. All right. If you feel like right now is insanely hard or like you haven't made any progress in months or years, is because you skipped a level. You skipped a level. Okay. If you played a video game, like I said, if you're on hard, it's going to be boring. It's going to suck. You're going to get demolished. Okay. So for messaging and sales and business, what is an example of a skipped level? Billing an offer without surveying your market. Who here's done that? You're just like, yeah, they'll love this. Yeah, shit, they'll love this. This is what I would want. So I mean, everybody should want this. And then you do that, and then nobody buys it, and then you're pissed. Running ads before validating an offer. Nobody bought it. Nobody knows about it. Nobody likes it. So you start running ads, and then you're all frustrated and wondering, why did these ads not work, and why did I waste $2,000? What's happening? It's the market. They suck. It's people. They don't want to buy. Right? You're thinking all these things, but in reality, you skipped a level. You skipped a step. You're pitching someone before having a conversation with them. Who's gotten a DM like that? A nice big fat cold pitch. Yeah, just bunch of text. It doesn't make any sense. You skipped a level. And then that guy's like, I sent 1,000 cold DMs and it didn't work. Cold DMs doesn't work. No, dog. Nobody knows you and you look weird online and you're sending cold pitches. That's why. That's why it doesn't work. Asking for a referral before getting someone to a result or a win. You know, like you have a sales call and they're like, I don't want to work with you. And you go, yeah, well, who do you know? They're like, no, I don't want to work with you because I don't like you. I don't want to refer my friends to you. Oh, you skipped a step. You see that? Everything is little gradients. And if you get everything right all together, and this is answering your question, Elizabeth, is you get all the little things right. There's something breaking back here, not here. It feels like the problem is here, but it's the step you skipped a year ago, right? It's kind of like you built a house, but you forgot the foundation. And now your house is breaking and you're like, it's the drywall. Is it the roof? Is it, is it this? No, it's the foundation part that you were supposed to do earlier. Does this make sense, everybody? Oh my gosh. Heck yeah. Cool. Is this valuable? Give me one in the chat if you feel like this is valuable. Also, if you want, pop in with questions too. We'll just keep it short. Cool. Beautiful. Beautiful. So these are all recipes for disaster. Recipes for disaster. Number 3, you guys cannot, there is no cheating the game. The game is designed a certain way and you can't cheat it. Skipping a step is trying to cheat. Fabricating results is trying to cheat. Lying, overpromising to get a sale, making false claims. You probably see people online that are in jail that are fucking getting accused. Like you see this stuff because they're trying to cheat the game. What happens is the balance always wants to, the universe always wants to balance out. Okay. So what'll happen is your mind will become imbalanced. Okay. So your mind will be imbalanced. Who's ever felt like imposter syndrome or like, I don't know if I got it, right? There's probably a time you overpromised something or said you did something, maybe stretched the truth and your mind's trying to balance out because it's a way of kind of installing some ethics into your life. Okay. So it's a way for you to kind of like balance and stay clear, stay okay, feel like clear conscious. This is why, don't charge, like everyone says, charge really high ticket right in the beginning. You've been told that. Well, if you've never gotten somebody a result, that's not okay. Don't charge someone 10 grand when you don't even know if it's going to work, right? You don't even know if it's going to work unless you have some validation, some proof. You got that. Also, everybody that's on live, comment doc if you want this. Okay, comment doc if you want this document. Also, you guys, I'll give it to you too. I forgot this part. All right. So that's what happens. Okay. You can't cheat the game. And then if you see people and you're like, well, if this is what's happening in someone's mind, right? If this is what's happening in someone's mind, why don't they stop? Like, what's going on? Well, you kind of get bogged down and you really need the money or whatever. And you just you keep cutting curves. You keep cutting corners. All right. And if that doesn't stop it, what happens is, the outside circumstances, society will try to stop it. Right. So you see people that are selling kind of get rich quick stuff and they're in jail. So society is kind of like, all right, slow down. Like, wait, let's relax here. Let's balance it out. Okay. And what's cool about this is if you can't cheat the game, it means you have to go up in successions and you have to actually you have to do things in order to create the results to make you feel really good about what you sell. Okay. You have to feel good about it. This is why your first step is communicating with people. I'm communicating with you guys. I'm trying to find out what you like, what you don't like. And that way I can take the data and I can help you solve that problem. And then when I do that, I can tell people. And now all of a sudden I'm kind of rising to the top, and it's a little less heavy, and it's a little less hard and push and grind. Make sense? Wonderful. All right. Number 4, you make everything in the other person. This is the people game. Make everything in everybody's best interest. This could mean sometimes you want to have a tough conversation. You're going to have a tough conversation with somebody. Sometimes it means rejecting a client. All right, Elizabeth, maybe it's been their best interest to not work with you and to learn it themselves, right? Maybe they're just a little too green, no pun intended, a little too green, a little too early in the game to be working with a higher level agency, right? And maybe there's some information you can get them, and it gets them to a high level. They start to get it, what you're dealing with, and then you guys get on the same page, and maybe in a year you guys work together. This is why you got to get really long term. This is how you got to start thinking. So maybe that's not in their best interest. Firing a team member, maybe you got to fire a guy because it's not in their best interest to be there, right? Because if it was, they'd be working harder. They'd be doing different things. Doing everything in your power to close a deal. If it's in their best interest to close, you damn well better be like doing everything to get them the financing, the funding, the finding out, the handling their objections. You got to do that. And maybe it's everything to close the deal. Maybe everything in others' best interest, not just yourself. It's got to be make everything in others' best interest, not just yourself. Is this a win-win? If it is, fucking perfect. Give value. Okay. This is, all right, I got a little heated on this one. So it's the number one most diluted and misunderstood message online right now. You think you are giving value with your 2 steps, your videos, your marketing material. I don't care if the video, like I'm saying here, if it was 3 hours long, it took you all this time and energy, and it's not, but if it's not what they want, then it's not valuable. All right. It's a value has a dynamic meaning. Dynamic means it changes for everybody. So value is more of an equation and a formula as opposed to like a thing that is like everyone tries to put it in a box. A box of matches could be worth nothing to you. $1.50. It's a box of matches, not worth nothing. It's sulfate or whatever the hell it's called. But say you get lost in the tundra and you're freezing. It's negative 12 degrees out. You would pay $100,000 for that box of matches. Why? Because of the environment, because of the scarcity, because of how rare it is, because of it could save your life, and your life is worth more than the cash that you have, right? So that value means something at that point. If you're dropping 2 steps and nobody's saying anything, nobody cares, nobody's raising their hand, it's not valuable to them. No matter how much you'd be like, wow, I worked my ass off on this and nobody cares. Well, there's something missing. You got to find out. Okay. So the way that you know what is actually valuable is you ask them, what do you want? Just got to ask them. Everybody that's frustrating you, just ask them, what's up? Like, what do you really want? If there was a perfect program, if there was the perfect agency, what is it? Just tell me. And then that'll solve all of your like expectation stuffs, Elizabeth. Just ask them, what do they want? Right? Just ask them what they want. And what happens is we get in our own head about like we're the expert and they don't know. I do this too. Like, I know what people need, but I got to really give a shit about what they want. Right now, this is why I started this call by saying, you guys want all this. I get it. But you're skipping a step. And so those are the beliefs that are limiting you in that pre-frame I talked about, is if I can help you handle those beliefs that are limiting you, I can make your life a lot easier, but it's got to start to like make sense. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Any questions? Where are we at? No questions. Cool. All right. So, and then I highlighted this. It's what you put out is going to come back to you. Okay. So if you give out a lot of value, you're going to get a lot of questions and a lot of inquiries and a lot of people and attention. So if you give value at a high level and let's say the value you give is meters more than the things that you're asking. Well, if the universe balances out, what does that mean? If it balances out, that means you're going to get cash value in exchange. Attention, cash, sales, messages, smoother conversations, all the things that you want are going to come back to you if you give people what they want, right? Full responsibility, number 6. This is the last rule, is full responsibility. All of this ties into this, because if you think everything is somebody else's fault, then what that does, if somebody doesn't close, who here's like had a call, they were like, they're in the bag. Oh, they're gonna close. And then it's just like it just like grinds, like they're just like halt. And you're like, what the hell happened? Who's had that? Be honest. Like, they didn't close. How did they not close? Right. And all of you want to say it's them. That's like, they made an excuse. They lied. They did this. They did that. What happened? Why? Right. And so if you're putting responsibility on them to make that decision, well, there was something you did that caused them to not make that decision. And so if you can take full responsibility off of other people, what happens is, 1, they're relieved because they don't have the responsibility. But 2, you're going to be more smooth in your communication, because you're going to realize that everything I do is going to impact and influence this person. You're taking responsibility for that person. And it sounds like, oh, but they have free will, they have all these things. Well, in reality, most people are kind of a feather in the wind. They really are. Most people are being pulled by their fears, their emotions, their doubts, their desires, and they're all over the place. And you, as a center of gravity for people, you need to take responsibility for them and try to bring them up. If you do that, they're going to magnet to you. Okay. So I gave an example here. It's contrary to popular advice. Someone decides to stop communicating with you. It is always your fault. So no matter how random it might seem, there's always a cause. There's always a cause to the effect. So if you had that halo effect of, like, let's say an A-list celebrity, let's say all of a sudden you're Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, whatever, and you just DM that person. Are they going to respond? Oh yeah, they're going to respond. How come they're not responding to you though? Yeah, what happened? It's a status thing. It's a status thing. That person had the status. And so it's your fault that you don't have the status, because you didn't build it. Yo, hit me.
It's interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
I notice my conversions, right? I can get on a sales call, I'll wear the hat, whatever, just dress normal. But the moment I put on a blazer, the moment I put on a collared shirt, the perception is so different. Even the way that you make the content. The content is made where you're dressing a little bit more professional, even though we're all, work from home, remote, we're kind of like, casual. A lot of people are not seeing that. So when they start seeing that, you stick out like a sore thumb. And the perception of how you carry yourself becomes a lot different. Not my conversions, like, automatically like skyrocket. And that brings it back to, like, when I was doing sales in Miami in a mattress store, they wouldn't let us work in that store if we weren't wearing a tie, dude.
Yeah. Unreal. And now now let's take it a level deeper. Let's say you sell a work from home offer or a laptop lifestyle offer, and you're dressed in a blazer and a suit. Is that going to help you or hurt you in that sale?
It's going to hurt you in that sale.
Why is that?
Because that's not what they're interested in. They're interested in the the feet in the sand with the lap, the idea of the feet in the sand with the laptop on the lap sunbathing. That's what they're interested in.
And that's why number 5 is this. Is because if you didn't take the time to understand them, an awesome job, like totally exactly what I'm getting at. Perception is reality. Right. And so that's why I say you got to know what they want first, and then you can chameleon to them, and you will basically be their god. Right. And you'll attract so many people. And so, and how you communicate in DMs, however that looks, It's all based off of what do they want to hear and see. And then you start to think from their perspective, and then you just be that. Go for it.
Now, another thing I realize is the people on top, like the people like that are like, I'm talking about like high status people, they don't care about the suit and tie.
Yeah.
The only people who care about the suit and tie are the ones who are trying to get to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. They start to like their perceptions change because they're not enamored by the halo effect. Do you know, does everybody here know what the halo effect is? You know what it is? Can you give it to me? Give me a short definition.
The halo effect is when you come in, you're their savior. You're like
Yeah.
shining in front of them. You are, when you go into a sales call, it's not to
Yeah.
sell, it's to, they're already at the point of being problem aware. So that cold DM should have already made them book an appointment. They should already be qualified to the point that they're problem
Yeah.
aware. Excuse my smoking, they're problem aware and they have the financial means. Your job on that sales call is not to sell them. It's to, one, help them make an educated buying decision that's going to be beneficial to them. And most importantly, it's to actually solve a problem. If you cannot confidently solve that problem, you should not be taking that money. So if you could show them that you could confidently solve their problem and you're their person, their guy, their gal,
Yeah.
you know, and you're just shining radiant and you built authority, you kind of
Yeah.
like made them see that, you know, you are the knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
They're gonna, you know, even if they forget about you, and this is where content comes in, I'm tangenting off, and they're gonna consistently see your content and they're gonna remember you. And yeah, it's basically you're their savior.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. So the halo effect from like a psychological perspective is kind of like the feeling you get when you see somebody that's like got this aura, right? And even though in reality, who here's like had like in high school, there's like kind of the star quarterback type dude, and like he walks around and there's all these people around him, and you kind of, maybe he's intimidating when you talk to him. Maybe he's just got like this, there's something about him and you don't know what, like how to box that in a word. That word is essentially the halo effect. Celebrities have it, but you can manipulate it and you can actually create it for yourself. Okay. And if you can master the halo effect, you can pretty much, it's just a perception. It literally is just that. And when I say a perception, is how that person's perceiving you. So if you can do this, there's lots of little things that create it though. It's not just being like, I have a testimonial of a guy that says he made a bunch of money with my course. And then it's like halo effect. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. Halo effect, and I'll go into this because there are some layers of proof, and there's a lot of like proof marketing stuff that isn't like common marketing knowledge that I'm going to give you guys. Like everything's kind of normal, like testimonials, show people your proof, blah, blah, blah. There's levels to this. There's like the social dynamics of it too. All right. So that's kind of what the halo effect is. You nailed it. I want to kind of give it to you as a definition of a perspective or a perception, as opposed to just kind of like why somebody's going to move forward. It's going to basically be like, why do people like watch your profile? Why do they want to like hear what you have to say? Why do they dig into your life and your personal life? What have you seen like people get really famous and like people are like driving by their house and they have to put up gates and security cameras? It's because people are enamored by their existence, and you can create that. All right. So this is the only game that here's big. Everyone needs to win in order to win. This isn't a game where you win and somebody loses, because in a game, somebody has to lose, somebody has to win. The only person that needs to lose is the competitors that aren't going to help them as much as you are. That's it. All right. So is the only game that everyone needs to win. Okay. You get everybody to a win, you won that game. You won the people game. And your life will get astronomically better. So the Grand Master. All right. Diego, the Grand Master, versus the novice. All right. All the guys he crushes in his program to show him how good he is. All right. So the novice and the Grand Master. So again, I'm not chess savvy. I like chess, but I am no Grand Master at chess, but I am a Grand Master at messaging. I will claim that. I will claim that position. And I can always get better. But when we're talking about the grandmaster of people, of messaging, of these things, there's two types of people here. All right. You have a novice and you have the master. The master, the grandmaster is constantly managing his perceptions online and offline. You realize that matters no matter what. Perception is reality, and if their perception is bad, they're going to get the results that come back to them from that. Pushes himself to do what is uncomfortable socially. Who here's felt uncomfortable by calling somebody or by DMing somebody? Felt uncomfortable? Well, they don't give into that. The reason why you have to DM people is you have to get over the discomfort of it. And if you get over the discomfort of it, it will go away to a degree. But they push themselves. They don't use that as an excuse. They're always learning and investing into their communication skills. Okay? If communication skills are what bring people together, and if your business comes from people and you're not constantly improving your communication skills, it's going to make sense why the business isn't going where it needs to go. You're only as good to the degree that your communication goes up. When communication goes up, money goes up, everything works. So they're investing in this. They realize this is the most important aspect of their life. Okay. It takes action no matter what, right? They take action no matter what. They're going to contact people. It's like that's what has to happen, and it can't stop. They're focusing on standing out from the crowd. Okay. They're no matter how scary it may seem. The only reason you're not standing out from the crowd, it's not because of you don't have the right lead magnet or the right copywriting or the right skills or blah, blah, blah. It's you're too scared to do something that's polarizing. That's it. You're staying too far in the middle. You're staying way too far in the middle, and you're way too safe. And if you stand out and you do something that's a little like, who here follows like Dan Henry? Follow Dan Henry? Have you seen what he's been doing? Interviewing people? Perfect. That's exactly what I mean. And then I'll leave it at that. Do shit like that. Stand out. Do things that are a little edgy, that are going to kind of turn people off. There will be some things, there will be some people that turn people off. There will be some things that turn people on, and it's what's going to work. Okay. I don't care if it's like saying cuss words, dick jokes, whatever. Do things that piss people off. It's how you shake people up. You got to make energy happen. Okay. People buy when there's energy. There's this low hum of like, I'm safe and secure in my LinkedIn profile with my suit and tie, and my gray kind of attire, and everything's gray and boring. Or there's like some fucking colorful, polarizing thing, right? Be fucking polarizing. Constantly, the grandmaster is constantly making new connections and managing his current relationships. Okay. They're not looking for, can they buy now? Can they buy now? No, he's managing them. He's connecting with them. He has details. He has notes. If you see, I have notes on everybody. I know what happened in 1998 with this guy with a car accident and a thing, and I have it written out, and I have it all highlighted, and what the pain point is, and what happened on our last conversation, and what date it was. I know what's going on. And the more you know what's going on, when you get on a call with them in a year from now, you say, hey, how's your grandma? I know that she was in the hospital last time we spoke. You're like, you remember that? Are they going to feel more cared for or less cared for if you do stuff like that? Right. It's because they're managing connections. Okay. They give more value. They give more in use value than they take in cash value. More in use value than taking in cash value, meaning they're not charging $100,000 for something that's worth maybe $50 to them. It's not okay. So it doesn't matter if like you have the Mona Lisa, and even though like to other people that's worth $1 million or millions of dollars, I don't know fucking how much it's worth now. It's priceless to some people, but you give it to like an Eskimo or somebody in the Amazon, they're not going to have any use value for it. So you can't charge them something high. So there's no use value for that person. Make sense? Is a social chameleon that will adapt to who he is communicating with. Okay. Social chameleon. Think Casanova. Casanova. If you everybody know who Casanova is, the seduction. Yeah. Yeah, me. The seducer, right? They were playing a game of seduction, not a game of brash, harsh, push, shove, and fight. Maybe if you're talking to somebody who pushes, shoves, and fights, you can be that person. So Casanova was friends with the king, partied with the jester, hung out with the slaves, had all the peasants. He shared bread. He knew everyone and he could adapt, right? So you got to be really adaptable and malleable. You can't just be like, I'm this type of person. Got to be okay with changing it up, right? Change your tempo. If you're talking to somebody to talk slow it down, relax. Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I understand. They're a slow, quiet person. Somebody's just like really brash and excited. You got to raise your energy. It prioritizes relationships. And the last one, this is important. They think long-term. Again, they're strategic. They're long-term thinking, okay, with all their relationships. They realize that it might not be a thing now, turn into something later, or they know somebody that knows somebody, and I can be more strategic. I can zoom out on that chessboard, okay? The novice doesn't take any action or is really inconsistent with the action that they take. They use blanket identity terms like I'm an introvert and I'm shy as an excuse for not taking action and not getting uncomfortable and doing uncomfortable things. Who here has been like, well, it's okay, I'm an introvert? Who's used that as an excuse to not do sales? Yeah, right. I'm an introvert. You get it, right? I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert too. You know what bad? I just want to I just want to hang out on my couch and with a bong and just relax. Yeah. No, I don't do that because I know that's not going to benefit me. Right? I want to do it, but you can't use that blanket term as I get to chill. I don't care. I don't care if you have anxiety. I don't care if you have social anxiety. I don't care if you're shy. I don't care if you're an introvert. If you want to be in business, if you want to do things that are important, you're going to have to understand that people are how you get to where you want to be. Period. That's it. And so you have to realize that. And in the action of doing it, of communicating with more people, the more open you are, the better you feel. Okay. Remember, when you have good conversations, you feel good. You feel really good, right? You feel bad and all closed off because you're not talking to people. You're an introvert because of the actions that you're taking or not taking. You're an extrovert when you decide to extrovert your attention. You introvert when you decide to introvert your attention. It's just where your attention's going. It's not an identity, and it is not a psychological break. It's not it. It doesn't exist. It's your decisions that you're making. Doesn't make an effort to understand or like people. Like I said in the beginning of this call, you get pissed off, frustrated with people. You're frustrated because you don't understand them. You don't understand. I don't care how bad or of a douchebag that person is. Yes, there's a lot of douchebags. I get it. But why are they a douchebag? Has everyone just ever asked, well, I wonder why? What happened? What happened to that person? Why are they that way? And how many times have I been a dick? Right? Maybe somebody thought that of me, but I wish maybe they would have asked me so I could have let it off my chest and they would have actually understood. How many calls I've had with people where they're a dick in the beginning of the call, they're being a jerk, and then at the end they're in tears and they're like, thank you for trying to understand. And then they end up closing. They're misunderstood. Okay. Everybody is misunderstood. And I'm the same way. I get pissed off too. Sometimes I don't want to deal with it, but you realize that you have to understand people for you to feel better. The novice focuses on extracting value from people instead of giving value. Their focus is extracting. How do I pull money out of their wallet? And you can feel it. Ugh, it's gross. Okay. They never work on communication skills. They're not working on it. There's no training. There's no thought into it. They're putting their attention on the things that they find interesting. Maybe it's, technology stuff or video games, right? They're not focusing on what's going to improve me as a communicator that's going to level me up and open more doors. They only talk to people that they want to sell to. You ever just been in DMs and you're like, this one's a waste of time. This guy's not going to buy. How do you know that? How do you know? Let's say you're talking to a guy who's not a chess player. Maybe he says, I don't like chess. But how do you know he doesn't have an audience or a friend that has an audience of thousands of chess players that he was going to introduce you to? If you were just been nice and take a little bit of time, like, or, Elizabeth, maybe there's somebody that doesn't have a store, but they're like a fucking billionaire and they're connected with like thousands of people, and that's a connection that's going to lead you somewhere, right? So you got to kind of think from that perspective instead of playing checkers. So they never put themselves out there. Obviously, they keep content safe, neutral, out of fear of upsetting people. They're not standing out. They blame the market. They blame other people. They, how maybe they're an introvert for their lack of success, and they think very, very short term. They're trying to like, how do I get a sale tomorrow? That's the wrong question. How do I create a process that gets me a sale daily so that I can always have sales? How are you thinking long term to create a machine that can fix the things that are problems now? If you're thinking short term, you're always going to think you're always going to be a sale hopper. You're going to be looking client hopping. I'm going to get a client. I'm going to get a client. I'm going to get a client. And how has your business grown, or has it just stayed like a flat? Because if you're doing that, that's just linear. But if you're creating perceptions that create in like a gravity, then you can scale it up and you can create systems that people would want to work for you because you have something that is of value. Lead machines, right? So the high level strategy, the stuff that matters. So we'll go into this, but that pre-frame that's everything. So the high level strategy, the overview, and I'll kind of give you some breakdowns. There's the first thing is you need to open new communication flows. Okay. The goal is to create goodwill, trust, connection in the market. Okay. Your outbound strategy is to do this. That's it. Okay. You open flows. You need to open energy systems, right? And a flow is essentially right in the beginning. All you need to focus on is opening up multiple communication flows. This doesn't have to be perfect. You're just opening a lot of doors. The intention isn't to close everyone here. Okay. It's not to close every single person you're communicating with. The rule of thumb, and a lot of you know what this means, is outflow equals inflow. I'm going to go a level deeper on this. Communication is just a flow of energy. It's thought particles, and you send a thought particle and it's received and returned. Right? Hey, thought particle. Oh, I get it. Thought particle? Yeah, exactly. Boom. Now you've got a flow. It's kind of like a circuit. You plug the wire in, you plug it in here, and now there's a flow. There's energy happening. If you look at this from a grander level, you also can look at money is also a flow. Income is a flow. But what comes first? What's the first step? Is it communication flows or is it income flows? Communication flows. Most people want to have income flows first and then communication flows. I'll talk to them when they pay me. Yeah, fuck that guy. I'll talk to him when he pays me. Yeah, no, not how it works. Talk to them first and then they'll pay you, right? Most people are inflowing and they're getting outflow. Who here, like at the end of the month, are like, I'm a little poorer than I was last month. There's a little less money in my bank account as opposed to more. I wonder why. Well, because you're inflowing. It's statistically impossible for you to be doing anything else. You're introverting. That's an inflow energy. You're thinking about yourself. That's an inflow energy. You're thinking about how do I get money out of this guy? You're arguing with people. You're doing things that are inflow energies. And then what naturally has to happen is you can't just inflow that and money. You're inflowing and then you're going to get an outflow. And usually that comes in the form of being broke. All right. So they start out with the intention of meeting their own needs. This is an inflow activity, almost always results in an outflow of time, energy, and money. Less time, less energy, less money. That's why you're sending so many DMs and you're spending so much energy and you're exhausted and you're not richer as a result. It's an outflow of 3 core resources of a business. Businesses are supposed to as a catchment system for money and energy. Yeah. All right. Does number one, this is the most important thing. I can't stress it enough. Please give me a 1 if this makes total sense. And if not, pop in here and ask me to give you some more clarity. Oh, perfect. Daniel, it makes sense. Cody, it makes sense. Elizabeth, it makes sense. Beautiful. Everybody on Facebook, does it make sense? Drop a 1 if you're on Facebook, if you're actually still here. Oh, wow. Good viewers. Drop a 1, drop a 1.
I guess I'll ask a question.
Yeah.
So if we're focusing on like not focusing on inflow, right? Inflow energy. How do you balance making the income you want and the inflow outflow?
How do I balance?
How do you balance that?
Yeah, good question. So obviously you're going to set targets and goals, right? If you set a target of, I want to make, say, let's, for an example, 10 grand in a month. Well, I have to understand, if I'm following the rules and I'm doing it in order, I have to understand what is the amount of like actual value that I have to give and outflow to be able to receive a $10,000 reciprocal. Doesn't mean don't ask for the money. But you ever feel good about asking for a sale, and you ever feel bad? Like, you ever feel bad? Like I don't feel like I should ask for the sale. You ever, like, be honest. You ever feel like that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's that block of a flow. But you ever feel like really good? Like they're going to buy, and like, I know this is gonna be the best thing ever. You ever feel that?
100%. Yeah.
So there's like, why is there 2 of those? Like, why is there like why is it binary like that? Well, it's because you didn't outflow what needed to be outflowed. There wasn't an intention. That's why, like, if you ever get on a call with somebody who's like kind of a scammer, they're like almost fighting themselves to make the sale. You can see it. They're like, I don't know if I should sell it. Just do it. They're fighting themselves because they're out of ethics. Right. So if you give I'm totally about design. I want to make things look good. I want to make things look pretty. I want to make sure it's like really well researched. I want to make sure that it's really good information coming from great sources. And so when I do that and I charge maybe, I'm still going to charge a good amount of money, but I know, like, I feel great about it. I'm like, yo, this guy's going to get the best value and they're not going to be upset.
It's interesting because in reverse, if like I've been on calls where, or I've been on calls where I've gave so much value and still the person didn't buy, but you can kind of see the guilt that they're like, oh my God, this guy just gave me so much value.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't buy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times they feel guilt because they feel like they wasted your time. Right. And not really like, this is so much value for me, and I feel guilty that I'm not helping myself. So guilt is an emotion for other people. They feel it for other people. You see that? But I have had it where like people don't buy and they're like, man, I really should have bought that. And now it's more money. I'm like, all right, let's go. So, all right, Nicole, your hand's raised. My bad.
Yes, quick question here, Dylan. So where you've said outflow equals inflow. So with my new offer, I have not been doing anything on social medias at all. All of our previous offers has been through ads.
Yeah.
So my question here is, in terms of outflow, should I be concentrating on content creation, creating, I don't know, free stuff, free PDFs, free lead magnets and stuff in order to have that outflow?
Yeah. I'm going to answer that question down below. I'm going to have some tactical exactly what to do in what order.
Right.
And I'll go into that. And then that's actually going to answer that question perfectly. But for the most part, what I want you to understand on this first lesson here is it's just energetically understand that. It doesn't matter what you post. Like, just if it's valuable and you're giving, it's going to come back. It has to. It doesn't, even if it's a month later, it has to come back. Okay. Make sense? Cool. We'll dive in in a second. So the goal, again, is to create that goodwill, the trust, the connection in the market. You're plugged in, you're in the know, you're in the social scene, and people know you, like you, trust you. That's the goal. So the next thing here is you got to build a cult. Sure. Got to build a culture. So Also, essentially what a cult is, if you've ever seen cults, why are there like, there's good cults, there's bad cults. It's just essentially a group. It's a group of people that are coming together for a cause. Okay. But it's short for culture. So America is a cult, believe it or not. Countries like Canada and Mexico, those are cults. They're cultures. Right. And there's like a way of being in that area. And if you're out of that area, there's a different way of being that's socially normal. Okay. That's all it is. And so if you can kind of create that same effect, who here knows what ClickFunnels is? Yeah. Seems a little culty, right? They're using all of the principles that the top cults in the world use to get people to buy in to an idea. They're rewarding people for good behavior. They're giving them awards. They're using kind of a psychology of crowd psychology. They're raising energy. They're doing a lot. Like it's really fascinating. So also when we say this, get it out of your mind that it's a bad thing. Like there are bad ones where you've heard of that are a little crazy. But get it out. It's essentially the definition of it is it's just culture. Okay. Every company has it. Every business has it. The teams have it. And it's where we can create a pocket of the internet where people can go. They can feel safe. So the goal here with doing this is to provide massive value within a community to create gravity that pulls more people in. So if you're outputting to get people, you're chasing people, but you want to be looked at as an expert. Does Dr. Phil chase clients? Hell no. That dude just stands up and people are begging, knocking his door down because he created that environment. Is it because of his Facebook ads? No, it's because he created culture. Okay. Oprah Winfrey, same thing. Dr. Phil, everybody that's really a high level expert. The reason this matters for you all here is because you're trying to be regarded as an expert, and you need to have a system to build you into that. This is different than like selling a product or a service, or like not a service, but like a product. Like if I'm going to sell this cigar cutter here, like I don't need to build a culture. I mean, kind of on the site, but like I don't need to build a culture around the leader. Right. So this is important. And this is why we're not just really talking only about lead generation strategies. We're talking about like a chess strategy that's going to kind of create this environment for you. Okay. So you don't need a large following. You just need some people that follow you. If we look at this room here, there's not a ton of people here. And the live, there's not a shit ton of people, but there's a following. Okay. And what that's doing is it's creating a leadership and attention. And so what other people see is there's a following around this guy. Does that make this guy more credible or less credible? Right? More credible because it's a perception. So this is why if you go out and your guns ablazing trying to get sale after sale, I had an agency once, like Elizabeth, you have an agency. Daniel, you have an agency. You do a service for somebody. If you have clients, get them all on a call and train them on things that they're missing, and then take screenshots and pictures of the trainings that you're doing to create that halo effect that's going to bring other people to you. And you don't even have to charge them. This is why if you're when you're starting out, like instead of just trying to go get the high ticket client and you have 2 clients in a Zoom room and you're sitting there like a schlub, like just like charge $100 and get 50 clients. And then you go and you collect the social proof, and obviously you give them value. But now you got people that are like, yo, this guy's way over delivering. He's giving value. He's got people around him, and other people are going to buy into that because that's just a natural order of how things work on like a tribal level. As tribes, if somebody's around the circle and there's people there listening to them, other people kind of join in, and then they don't question what that guy has to say as much because there's like this support system around him. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? I'm seeing a little bit of yeah. Give me a give me a question.
I just did that. I just screenshot that. Said
Yeah.
I said in the war room with the squad. Screenshot it, post it on Facebook. Now everybody's gonna be like, oh, what's this guy?
Little
What's this guy
FOMO.
talking about?
Yeah, there's something there. There's something of value in there, so I got to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Elizabeth, you had a question?
No, I think I was just motioning, raising the hand to the last question.
Okay. Nothing. You don't have anything to add?
No, it's pretty clear.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty clear.
So again, you got to be seen leading. Okay. This is why people like they're just like begging to get on stages, right? They're begging to like get the ClickFunnels award. They're doing that to create that perception. Okay. Again, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're just going in like guns ablazing, client acquisition, one at a time, instead of like building like kind of this nice group. The more you can get everybody all at once, the better, the more of that perception you can create. Okay. And it's more than that. It's more than just the perception of it. It's also kind of like how people want to interact. So you want to build a tight group. Okay. You want to build like something that's kind of like tight and where people are safe. You create value and you create culture within the group. And so how you create a culture is, one, there's a language being spoken only there. Okay. So if you're in the marketing community and you go out into the real world, you ever feel like you've been like so in the trenches in the marketing world that you go out into the real world and like everything sounds different and feels different? Yeah. Like it's just a totally like, what? You guys don't know what a click-through rate is? Well, you don't know what ClickFunnels is? Like, it's just like a surprise, right? You're like, oh, there's the real world. And then there's the marketing world. And it's this pocket where everybody has their own language. And then you're kind of on the in, you're in the in crowd. Okay. And so, so you want to create a language. And so a lot of times that could be little things like, how do we raise the hand on Zoom? How do we reward somebody? A lot of things that I do, like I've created a language here, communication flows. That's not like a normal thing people say, what the fuck's what's a flow of communication, right? Chestnut checkers. Like I'm finding things to coin and I'm trying to create a language and a vibe and a theme, right? And so everybody can start to fall into that theme and people are like, oh yeah, I remember, like, this isn't chess. I'm being checkers over here, right? Oh, you're being a checkers player. Oh, you're not a chess player. You're not a grandmaster. And then there's identities, right? So there's identities that you can have within the culture, right? And there's levels. So for example, like in ClickFunnels, they have the big dog award. That's an identity. Okay. And everybody wants that. There's also an enemy. Every culture, every cult has an enemy that they're going against, right? Whether it's like the gurus, the matrix, like an Andrew Tate, he's talking about going against the matrix. So his culture, his war room can be against this big problem that and everybody can be against it. And they want to fight a war with him as the leader. Okay. If you can mimic that and you can create an enemy in your group, then that's essentially what's going to get people to keep buying in. All right. Because then when they want to leave, you're just kind of like, let's say they're like, I don't know, I don't feel like being a messaging master anymore. And we're like, but what about this enemy? Are you just going to leave us? We're brothers in arms. And now like, I'm going to get stabbed because I lost, your shield. You're not helping me. Right. And so there's that camaraderie that you're building. There needs to be a mission and a purpose. Like, what is the end mission? And it's got to be really emotionally visceral. Like, it's got to be like, oh, that's amazing. My mission, and it's been my mission, it came in different vehicles, but my mission is to increase Earth's communication, increase the flow of communication, bring more people together, and to create better communicators. If I can do that, I know there's a really great life that a lot of people can have. And where does that mission come from? Well, I forgot to add it here, but a story. I have a story. I have stories where I sat in the bathroom at lunch. You know, I have stories in high school where I got rejected, you know, because I couldn't talk because I choked and couldn't get it out. Right. I had stories where I went for a decade just out in towns and in clubs and bars, and I just talked to people that I didn't want to talk to. And I was tired. I don't want to do it. It's like, hey, you person, talk to me. And then I'm like, oh, I actually learned something. Right. I have all these stories and these things that I've done that like allow me to kind of say, hey, I've been there. I have that story. Okay. And you also have, everybody here has a story. And so you need to relate that story to the mission, to the enemy, to the why. And what happens is you have that to kind of build around. And that's what is built around. And that's how you create like a really strong culture. There also needs to be high barriers to get in. Okay. When you're chasing clients, this is why I said it's a flow. If you're chasing clients, but your perception is I need you, and instead of it's like a pulling away and like you need to cross a barrier, then what's going to happen? Who has ever been told no and they're like, why? Yeah, you know, you've been like, no, you can't have that, right? I'll have it on a sales call where I'm like, you know, we're objection handling for like 30 minutes. I'm like, dude, and then I'm just like, they're like, you know what? Yeah, like maybe I think I should do this, and I'm like, no. Hold on a second. 30 minutes. You've been just fucking fighting me for this. Why? You gotta earn my trust now. And so you have to create that dynamic where they have to kind of start to earn their way in. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Sweet. So you have to have some like in this community, you have to have some barriers, and you have to be like, you can't just let everybody in. I want to give you an analogy. Like who here's been to like a Miami or like New York City, LA, anything like that? Okay, cool. You go to these places and there's these nightclubs, right? And they're like known for like the most prestigious nightclubs. Why are they actually prestigious? There's really nothing going on. They're just rooms with bottles and chairs and ice and people. And it's really all it is. Loud, and it's not that great. But what they're doing is they're creating a halo effect around it. And they're basically rejecting more people than they're letting in. And because of that, it's causing people to try to earn their way in. And then what that does, allows them to jack the prices of the bottles and the services that they're providing. Right? That's why the bottle is $1,000. All right. And so you can do this for yourself as well. So you got to basically say, you got to kind of shove back on the market, because what happens is anytime you shove something away, it tries to go towards you. If you try to pull it in, it tries to go away. All right. So shove it away. Try going in DMs and just being a little dry with them. Like, I don't know, like if you're like whatever your service is, you know, they're like, yeah, I think I'm interested. But why? What are you so interested for? You just met me. No, because of this. No, I don't know. I don't know. My calendar's busy. You know, I don't know. I can't meet anytime after 5. Like, okay, what do they got? They're gonna wonder. Okay, you can do this throughout your whole marketing. It's great. It's a superpower. And then there's gotta be some buzz, right? There's gonna be some things that like I want buzz, so that's why I say you got to create a language. I want people to say the things that I want them to say. I want people to be like, wait, what's that award? Right? ClickFunnels had it, you know, like everyone's doing it. Now all of a sudden it was like, I want to do that too. So they use the software because they want that, not because they want the software. They don't know if the software is good or bad. You know what I mean? So you got to add to the group over time, and you got to build that gravity. And when I say add to the group, is your outbound strategy is to add to this cult. And you're just building it and building it and building it. And it's great gaining mass. And when something gains mass, what has to happen? It has to be gravity, right? And so this is kind of like a social gravity. So if you build something with mass, if you build something that has some kind of like effect that has barriers and things, and you're essentially inviting people to the group, you're talking to people, and you're selling the value that's inside of this container, well, what happens is people get into it, and then they're going to be more likely to buy on the back end. All right. They're going to be more likely to buy because you just kind of cooked them in this container, in this group. Okay. And that's why I say you got to give a lot on the front end. So you're going to add to the group over time. And in the group, you got to go very deep. And I'm talking about communities and groups right now. I don't care if it's Discord. I don't care if it's Facebook. I don't care what it is. There, you have to go deep versus very wide. Who here has seen all these Facebook groups? It's like marketing for coaches and consultants and agencies, and marketing for this guy, and fucking, appointment setting, lead gen, it's all so shallow. It's shallow and it's diluted and it doesn't add any value. So there doesn't have this depth, right? So with the community, it needs to be very deep. It needs to be specific, and not shallow and wide. So I don't care if the group's only 1,000 people, but it's deep and there's some depth to it and everybody wants to buy, and they will buy at some point because it's just like this big, massive value add. Even if it costs a little bit of money to be there, it's going to do that, right? So for example, the group that I have, it's about a very, very niche thing, messaging strategies. It's very niche, okay? But it will expand inside, all right? Yeah, Elizabeth.
I have a question. So you're talking about building an actual group, because that's the thing is I have recognition in the space. I got a lot of followers. I get a lot of reach. A lot of people are interested. I have yet to congregate them in a group, or create a group. So I've toyed with that idea. The other thing that I really have to deal with in my space is a lot of my followers are overseas VAs. And those people get into your groups. And so I can guarantee you the minute I open a group, I could easily get probably 5,000 people in there in a day. It'd be like ridiculous, but it'd be full of absolute garbage within a day, which would create an absolute like nightmare to manage.
Yeah. What's the question?
So you're talking, I guess, can community be like, hey, just output and you just generally are known? Or are you talking about like creating some kind of like, you must get in
attachment system? It's an asset. It's a list. So in marketing terms, it's a list. It's an asset.
Okay. So it could be an email list.
Yeah. But you want it to be visual. Email lists are great. I mean, but like, what's the value that they want to receive? Do they want emails every day? Maybe not. I don't know. But what's the actual value that they want to receive is the question you should be asking, right? And then you got to think what's going to be a magnet to all these people that I want to have, and what's going to repel the people I don't want. So the VAs that are in their stores, well, how do you repel them? Just ask yourself that, right? The importance of this is because this is going to be the thing that takes you out of outbound world and messaging random people on the internet world. Because what happens is you can't hire, like I'm going just raw business terms right now, and I'm going to take all the kind of fluff out of this. Essentially, you need an asset to hire a closer to be able to close the deals, because they're not going to just go outbound people. Because one, it's not efficient, and two, like they can go somewhere that has a list and has leads coming to them, right? So you're building this tribe of members, of people that are ready to buy, right? And so the bigger that thing gets, the more it'll pull you out of sales.
Got it. So overarchingly, I'm looking to cultivate a visual space, like a visible. She has X amount of people in her group. Got it.
Yeah, like you're doing trainings, you're doing things like this, you're giving away documents, you're doing 2 steps, you're engaging with them, you're learning what they actually want, and you're surveying them, and they're all there, right? The key here is, I'll leave you with this in terms of the group specifically, you're not mining the group early on. When I say mining it, you're not trying to sell everybody in it, because you're trying to grow it. And so what grows it, and obviously if somebody wants to buy something to sell them, but you've got to you're creating a shit ton of value inside of this community, and it's going to make it grow. And the more it turns into just like your new lead magnet, it's going to be diluted and it's not going to work. So this is why when I say think long term, you're thinking like, what is this going to be in a year? If I put a lot of attention and effort and energy into it, it could turn into a group of 50,000 people that are all quality, because you really took your time with it. And now you have a business that's like, you're set for life. because you have a following that's like in there.
Because eventually it becomes a business asset.
Yeah, exactly. And then at some point, your messaging is going to be more efficient where you only need to send 10, 20, 30 messages to get a client. Reason why is because you have context now. You can say, hey, I saw you've been in this group for a while. You own an Amazon store. What do you do? Like, got some questions. Mind if I ask about that? Okay, got it. What are you struggling with? This. And you're the leader of the group, and you've created this perception and this halo effect. And now they're all going to talk to you, because why wouldn't they? And you have reciprocity, and all of these little psychological factors that you've been building up over time are there, and they're hopping on calls to buy.
Got it.
Make sense?
No, that makes total sense. Is there a platform that you found work, or is it whatever platform people use the most in your space?
Everyone's different. I'm in Discord channels, I'm in Telegram, I'm in Facebook groups. I notice, like, yeah, it's like kind of what's the pond that the fish lives in already,
Yeah.
right? So, are they on Facebook? Marketers are on Facebook. People, you guys are all on Facebook. You're getting your clients from Facebook. I'll probably just do it on Facebook. If something proves like, let's go in Discord or something, maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of just find them and then you build it. What matters though is that you're the only way to get the feedback that you want and the answer that you want is to actually start and you take action, and then they'll tell you like, hey, do you have like a school channel or a Discord or something? And then you're like, wow, that's the 8th person that's asked me that. I should probably look into that. You see?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Cool. So, all right. So you're building this group. You want to go very deep versus wide. And then you want to give away an uncomfortable amount of value. Like, this is an Alex Hormozy thing. Like, you want to, like, if you're going to be like the fucking man or the woman in that space, you got to give away just like crazy value, because realize the amount of time that they spend consuming your content in you is the bigger the mental real estate that is being taken up in their mind. Who here knows Ty Lopez? Have you listened to his videos, podcasts, content? Like, when somebody says digital marketing or SMMA, what do you think of? Ty Lopez. Boom. You're just like, he's such a master of this that it's almost terrifying, right? So anytime somebody like you, and this is why I say you got to go deep, because the more deep you go, the more you can coin things. So now it's very easy for me. This is why 2 years later, I haven't been in the DM setting training game. And now people still see me as the guy who taught DM messaging, the messaging mastery. It's like, it's all there, right? It's the only reason it's lasting. I take up mental real estate, even though for 2 years I've been posting about mindset. What happened? How is that still valuable? How is it still valid? Right? So this is how that kind of that mind real estate works. So go deep versus wide, and then you got to give away uncomfortable amount of value. Right. And I say uncomfortable because you're gonna be like, I could really charge a lot for this. But what's valuable in the beginning is not how much money you're making right up front. It's how much mental real estate you're gaining and how much like reciprocity in the market you're getting. Because then one day when you decide to do a launch, you're gonna bank. You are gonna bank. You have no idea. You're gonna do really good because you've given away. This group that we're in now, it's a little dead now because I haven't been nurturing it. But when I started it, I did it all organically and I didn't run ads to it, nothing. And it was just constantly booming, right? There was just always something going on, right? And I gave away just everything. I just gave them scripts. I gave them strategies. I gave them everything. What happened was when I decided to launch Messaging Mastery, it was like 130 members like that, right? Because it just balances. So then you got to provide evidence, and this is why this is all in steps, is because if you don't do this, you don't have evidence. If you don't do this, you don't have people to put into this. If you don't have this, right, it's all coming, and then you don't have the understanding of the perceptions, the responsibilities. You don't know the rules. If you skip the rules, then this doesn't make any sense, right? If you skip the rules, then this doesn't make any sense. So everything has to be in an order. All right. And so once we have this is starting to grow. Then we go here and we have evidence because of how many people we're just helping. Do you know how many times I gave something away for free and I started getting like free testimonials? Just testimonials is like crazy. Like another testimonial, another, and I'm just like, then I could post that, and now I'm real. Now there's more testimonials I would get by giving away shit for free in the front end than if I were to try to go and get a whole bunch of clients for a high price. Let's say I get 3 clients, I get 2 of them great results, I get 2 testimonials, I make, let's say 10 grand, versus let's say I go and I give value to 300 people and I get 200 testimonials. What's more valuable? Is it that 10 grand I got and the 2 testimonials, or is that all those testimonials and all that clout that I just gained and all that recognition? It's the clout. It's the recognition. It's the testimonials. It's the proof and the evidence. Why is this so important right now, as opposed to everywhere ever? Is because every 5 minutes there's a new trend that happens, AI, threads, whatever, and now everyone's got a course on it, but no testimonials. So how you can't perceive it? It doesn't make any sense. How is that? It's not going to be a long-term legit thing. They're riding trends. There's not this depth. And so if you provide evidence, there's so much going on. There's so many offers. You take the amount of evidence you feel like you think you need and multiply it by 20. You need way more evidence than you think. And I know this because I came from a business that is a very skeptical market, right? And I sold it at a pretty high rate for a very expensive price. And the only reason we were able to do that, I believe, is because we just had so many testimonials, just so much evidence. Okay. So the goal is to build this halo effect using this evidence. And I'm going to give you different ways. If you don't have testimonials, you can do, there's actually ways that you can do this fast, like right now. You need to build massive amount of evidence to be taken seriously, obviously, in the marketplace. The most underrated forms of proof, one is that framing your leadership, screenshots, videos, Zoom trainings, speaking engagements, high-end posts, high engagement posts, speak for free places, show that you're being like, people are begging you for things. And then you got to do some demonstration marketing. Nobody does this. And it's fine to kind of find it weird, because then you're like, you start to wonder why, like if somebody says they can teach something, then how come they're not showing you it in action? Okay. So you got to demonstrate the methods in action. So when I first started my first course, I was like, well, I don't have like a shit ton of testimonials, so I got to show people what's up. I got to show people some baller shit. So I broke down every one of my messages and show them exactly what I'm doing from a psychological level all over YouTube. People are like, yo, that's legit. It's real. It's because it's being demonstrated. Okay. And you can do this. Anybody here can do this. You can demonstrate what you're doing. If it's an expertise or a skill, I know, Diego, you do it. You hop on, you're like, here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm going to cook this dude. Right? Here's how I'm going to cook this guy. And I'm going to win in this chess match. Right? You can film it, you can show it, and then you can just post it. Okay? And then that's all evidence. If you have a channel of you just crushing it, all just chess matches, and you're just documenting it, kind of like a Twitch streamer or something, people are like, yeah, I'd work with him. He's great. You know? So, and it's not what you know. Here's a highlight of this. It's have you ever heard it's like, it's who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. But I go a level deeper. It's not what you know, it's who knows you. So who knows who are the people that know you? Okay. So this is the high school effect. All of the clicks. So, like, let's say you're just walking down the hall and that popular quarterback kid, even though like you were the nerd guy, all of a sudden he's hanging out with you and he's like your boy, and he's like, posting on MySpace, like, oh, I just hung out with Dylan. And now people are gonna be like, why? I thought he was a loser. I wonder why. So this is why these connections are really important, and building this network is important, because you can create those relationships with people that have these followings and have eyeballs on them. So you got to showcase the people you're connected with. You can get borrowed authority, you get the trust. Because if, let's say, you don't have any testimonials, but yet you have like a picture of you and Gary Vee at dinner, they're going to be like, oh, I'll just buy his shit. He knows Gary Vee. Gary Vee wouldn't do us like that. He has the authority and the trust. So you can borrow that and you're looped into that brand. All right. So building the network. See how much we got. So this is the last point. So this is where it gets all the tactical, like, well, let's connect the dots here. And this is what's going to make everything make sense. Okay. Number one, become the digital Casanova. Like I said earlier, you're becoming a digital Casanova. That is your goal. Your goal is to just be known. Okay. Be known, speak to people, communicate with people. So to connect with high value people, you need to understand your networking goals. Get very specific on who you want to meet. Okay. Who do you want to meet? It's not just customers. Again, we can use, there's so much more leverage you can have to where you're not beating your head against the wall trying to DM 100 people a day and run a business. It's how are you leveraging good connections? So you got to be very, very specific. I don't care if it's Justin Bieber or if it's just like a really well-known person in your space. You can connect with that person somehow. There's a strategy on how to do it. Okay. So who is valuable to you and why? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. And then you also need to ask yourself is how am I actually valuable to them? Okay. So, I don't know. Maybe there's like a grandmaster that you know, Diego. That's just like, if you interview him, it's going to blow your brand up because maybe he posted on his thing and then all of a sudden people want to learn from you. Well, maybe he knows, maybe you can't get to him directly, but he knows people that know people that know people. And you can create this kind of connection and basically build up you're essentially climbing your way into that circle. And if you do that, you've got this tight network and it's very secure, right? It's very secure. You can leverage their audience. There's a lot of things you can do. There's literally millions of freaking things you can do with higher value people. The bigger the influencer, obviously, the harder it's going to be to communicate with them directly. So you got to be strategic. And then to communicate with higher level people, you also need to work on your communication skills. Okay. So you need to understand status. You need to understand frames. You need to understand why your frame broke. What did they say? What question did they ask you? People that are higher level, they understand frames because they're always controlling the frame. Okay. So if you get on a call and you don't know how to like jujitsu a question and they start questioning you and they ask you questions, well, what happens is now they're asking you questions and your frame is shrinking and then you're out. Okay. And you need to understand how these frames work and how to behave within certain frames. So if the frame is, this is a coaching call and he's here to coach you, then you're not going to do things that are outside of that norm of that frame. You need to understand matching. You need to understand also power dynamics. What is their dynamic in this situation? And how do we leverage power? Power is one of the most important things you need to understand to get yourself up. 48 Laws of Power is one of my favorite books. It is literally, it explains all of this. Okay. If you understand power, you understand how to basically just move through life easier. Okay. It's not using it in a negative sense. It's just understanding that people are using it against you and you're using it against them.
Don't forget the art of seduction and 33 strategies of war.
Oh yeah. Seduction, baby. I'm a seducer. That's my favorite, my favorite book too. But yeah, any Robert Greene stuff, great to understand this stuff. But you need to find hard to find connections. Okay. You need to find what do they find valuable and provide it. Okay. So for example, if like you're talking to somebody who is like maybe you don't have anything tangible to give them that's actually going to get them value, but you know people that are extremely valuable to them and you connect them. That's the easiest way to get somebody to pay attention to you. Okay. Let's say they have a problem and you can't solve it. Be like, yo, I know somebody who can help you with this. I'm gonna connect you. Boom. That's a value exchange. maybe an audience. This is why you have an audience. If you have this audience and you took the time to build it, then guess what? You're now valuable to people who would actually want that audience, and then they can be a strong value exchange. Okay. Maybe they're being a good listener, right? I don't think people understand how far this can go. If you understand, this is like what we did in the last business if like the more high status somebody is, the less people they can vent to. That's why they say it's lonely at the top. They can't tell people everything because there's people that will blackmail them. There's people that will use it against them. There's people that want money from them. They want things from them. So if you're actually a good reciprocal for them to just talk to, and you're like, hey, I get it, ask them questions, you help them get it off their chest. Guess what? They're like, holy shit, finally, somebody I can trust and somebody I can talk to. That's incredibly valuable to people that are higher status. That's the thing that they can't get with the money, because everyone thinks that when you're really rich and you have all this money, everything's all better. There's all these things that are like they can't fix, that they can't have because of the thing that they just gained. So they lost something by gaining something. So find those things that they lost, and then you can regain it to them or give it to them. Does that make sense? Beautiful. So this turns into effortless appointments and deals. I say effortless because it's not, you're not getting trust objections. Trust, think about it, uncertainty. Those are the objections that are just a bitch. They're just really hard to deal with. Anything that's logistical, like they got to talk to their wife, like those things those things you can overcome. Anytime somebody's uncertain about something, or like, they're just like, who is this? I don't know if this guy can help me. That's where they start to lie. And they're just like, no, like they kind of get all wiggly and squiggly at the end of the call. That happens when you start to you don't have enough of this stuff on the front end. Okay. So it gets a little bit more smooth. Your messaging. Okay. So, you're going to use, cold outbound to fuel your machine with new members. So here's how it looks. Cold outbound, you're talking to people and you're opening flows. Those flows are going to the value systems that you've created. They're gaining the value, and they're eating up mental real estate, and it's growing horizontally. It's growing as like a machine. Then what happens is you are going to take that, you're going to basically have them totally bought into these ideas and shifted in their belief systems. And then on the back end, you can basically use it to pull them into sales funnels, calls, messaging, and then you've got something that's going to actually create some income. All right. So you're going to leverage audience. So your messaging efforts are to fuel the machine, to leverage other people's audiences. Okay. It's to basically say, hey, there's a person with an audience and I have an audience. Let's swap. And let's just I'll take some people from your audience, you take some people from my audience, and we'll just we'll swap. You can do that. Especially, let's say you know somebody that has a group with 50,000 people that are all in your market and they want you to go do a presentation. Money. Okay. You can book calls. You're using it to book calls, close prospects that have been warmed up. Okay. Surveys and data. Holy shit. This, I think if everybody here is going to gain something out of this, just please, for the love of God, survey people, survey your customers, survey your audience, survey the people that you're trying to communicate with, because the more you know about them, the easier it is to communicate, and then things you'll know what to talk about. So you use surveys to know exactly what people are begging for. Okay. If they're begging for something, they will pay a higher price for it. The only way you know that is to ask them, what is it that they really, really want? What are they really missing in their life, right? And how do you connect those dots for them? Convert conversations or data for future offers. So why is this whole just talk to people randomly, and even if it doesn't go anywhere, blah, 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 good? Well, it's good because you're gathering data for your future offers. If you talk to people and all those big chunks of text that you get from people, or the rejections you get, you can take that data and you build a document and you got offers. Once you have momentum, DMing skills, deals closed, offers validated, assets built, you can hire out. Once you have all this stuff built out, you can hire. It can be a business at that point. If you don't have this, remember, you've skipped step one and you went and tried to hire a setter. I've seen this. This is like the most common thing I get. Mr. Guy just decided to start a business and he's making 20 grand a month and he's running the show. And he's like, wow, if I hire a setter, then my income should go up because the output should go up. No, that's not what happens. What makes a business grow is when you have more efficiency. Okay. You need more efficiency. And then another thing here is skill building. So the 3 major skill sets that you need to build. So this is all comes down to the skills that are going to basically make all of the things that I talk about happen, because they're skills that you learn individually. So casual conversations, literally just conversations that aren't going anywhere. This is the thing that nobody wants to do. Because I came up with messaging mastery because I was just lazy. And I just wanted to talk to people. And I did. And then all of a sudden they were like, yo, what do you do? And I was like, I do this. They're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, this is working, right? Because I just was like, I'm just literally having fun talking to people. And because I'm doing that, people are opening up because there's like this, there's less of like an agenda. You ever talk to somebody and it feels like there's an agenda? It's like something's going to end in something. It's like, where's the pitch when's it going to happen? Well, if you don't have an agenda, all of your sets should feel like an accident to the other person. And you get really good to the degree that it feels like an accident. And it doesn't even look like a setting conversation. That's how you know you're really good. Because it was like, damn, they were just talking and all of a sudden he's just got this guy in tears and he's buying. What happened? Right? So the casual conversation is the way you make someone feel. It'll go a longer way than you think. Is the way that you make someone feel in a conversation, they're going to remember it. Okay. So if you do that times 7,000 people, you got all these people that you just made feel really good and gave them a good laugh or gave them, whatever you gave them. And they're happy to be connected with you. Okay. Active listening, humor, genuine interest. These are the things that build really good conversation skills. Second is personal branding. Everybody on my survey, it was just like personal branding was like the weakness. All right. Personal branding comes down to public perception, grabbing and holding attention, positioning, where you're positioned in the market. Who are you when people think of you? What do they think of? Sales focused messaging. This is another skill you need to learn. This is the actual appointment setting stuff. When you got a lead and you bringing them down to the end to book a call. Okay. It's sales focused. It's sales language versus just casual conversation language. This is important once you have your assets built and you have like a flow and you're basically just now all you need to do is just make that thing more efficient. In the beginning, it's just more casual conversations and it gets more efficient. So that's belief shifting, probing, billing a gap, DM copywriting, actually writing your scripts in a way that actually shifts perspectives for people and gets them to book. Setting, DM closing, follow-up, organization, okay? This is like literally the lifeblood of the business. And if you don't have that, then all of a sudden you built this crazy awesome group and now you don't have like a way to actually transfer them into a sale. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Cool. Elizabeth left. Awesome. So holy shit. Let's open up a little bit of, in terms of what I just went through. Does anybody have any questions on anything here?
A little bit on personal branding, I do.
Yeah.
I hesitate to ask because it feels specific to my situation, but it probably isn't. Yeah. Our brand is almost faceless.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know how to start incorporating us into our brand more. Mm-hmm. And it's because I'm overthinking all these little variables. And then we have had a single video go viral, but it literally got us 0 new leads. And so our sales messaging is not there either.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know how to start transitioning into this personal brand thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too personalized of a question, but
No, it makes sense. I think a lot of people deal with that as well. So your personal brand is like you. It's not really like whatever company you have. Like obviously you guys have seen me do multiple things. You're still here. Are you following the things I'm doing, or are you following me? Right? So to a degree, obviously there's the things that I'm doing and there's value to it, but there's like the brand is you. So you are the brand and you have a personality and you have things that people are going to want to see. And especially, I know you have a YouTube channel, right? You have good camera quality and you have a sense of humor. I would be using that, right? I would be using, and you have a good voice for camera. So I would just be like building a vlog, or I would be building something where I'm demonstrating, so demonstration marketing, my camera skills. And then I'm also like, I'm not pushing the product, but I'm basically people are like, what does this guy do? Because his quality is amazing. Oh, he films. Okay, interesting. And then maybe you have vlogs about, your relationship. And because that's going to tie into marriage, and that's going to tie into like what you do. And then it's going to attract more people that are trying to get married, right? Because they're going to be searching, and that's going to be a high spike trend because it's an event for them. And like that just online is going to attract people in that time zone of their life that are going to be like, okay, like what's how do I have a good wedding? Like, well, like how do I fix, like maybe they're searching on YouTube, how do I fix pre-wedding nerves? And you have a video on that, very, very specific. And now they're like, oh, maybe I'll just have them do our videography because they're going to help me feel more comfortable. You see how that's tying together?
yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a whole bunch of comments next to my note as well about like ways that I can potentially build groups. And then now we're writing off date night as well.
Yeah.
As a business expense and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I could see that going pretty cool, man. Yeah. I appreciate, I'm feeling very inspired after this.
Yeah. Nice, dude. That's what I like to hear. All right. What else? Anybody else? All right, cool. So essentially what I'm doing, and the reason I'm doing this is because like what I need is like, what's my personal desire? My personal desire is everything that I just broke down here, right? And so everything I broke down here is like, if I can get enough people to a massive win, it's going to reciprocate, right? If I get you guys to a massive win, it's going to reciprocate in some form, right? So something that I can't find in the market is somebody that actually just sits with somebody and just breaks down their DMs and looks at what are they actually saying. Because if you don't have that, the way that this stuff works is it's dynamic and everybody's got a script. There's always a script out there. But how come the script isn't working for this guy as opposed to this guy, right? And so it's all dynamic and it requires somebody to look and tell you where you're messing up, right? Do you type a 1 in the chat if you feel like just having like me looking over you and making sure you're not saying stupid shit would help you at some point in your life? Oh shit. Okay, great. Great. Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like that would help you? Don't be shy now. What do you think, Cody? Why would that help you?
Yeah, I was typing my response, but in closing in particular is just a quick example.
Yeah.
Like brides are in the middle of not just like 1 or 2 decisions, but
yeah,
15 different vendors and who to invite for family, and
yeah,
and we get thrown in this mix.
Yep.
And so sometimes I'm like hard selling, sometimes I'm having long conversations. Man, I feel like guidance would just be really helpful in general and like how to navigate this based on information. So
yeah, 100%, dude, 100%. Well, so what I'm opening up, and this is probably gonna be the only time I do this, just because I'm like it wouldn't make sense for me. But essentially, what I'm doing is I'm doing a year with me, It's weekly DM breakdown calls. So kind of calls like this, but only looking at your screen and showing me what exactly you're doing. Like, what are you saying? Why did you say that? What's your thought process behind it? It's basically just like, let's look at everything. All right. It's daily message feedback. So essentially in the group, you're just going to be like, here, screenshot your shit. Why did it not work? And then I'm going to either give you a Loom video or I'll give you like a personalized response. And then as we're doing this, I'm building out scripts and we're just building out everything in terms of this entire strategy is what I'd be teaching you, but in more detail. All right. The whole power dynamics, all of it. All right. You're going to learn to build a tribe of actual raving fans. Like we're going to actually build something where people like type of one in the chat if you feel like having some raving fans would actually help you at some point, whether long-term or short-term. Right. Cool. And then we're going to actually look at just real life communication skills, everything, whether it's the client said this, boom, screenshot. How do you interact with him and what do you say? How do you diffuse it? What do you do? All right. We're going to work on that as well. We're going to work on your own mental state about it. We're going to like, why are you feeling that way? And let's figure that out as well, because people are a great mirror. We're going to build a valuable network. We're going to figure out who's important for you to know, and you're going to know them. I know exactly what to say, how to say it, and exactly how to get you in touch with those people. And obviously, you do all this, your sales are going to go up. We're going to track it. We're going to look at it. We're going to measure it, and you're going to increase your sales. And we're going to actually cut your time in DMs in half. I'm confident in this one because if you're efficient and you know what the fuck you're doing in DMs, you don't need to talk to 500,000 people. All right. And I'm only doing it for $300 a month. It's a $300 a month payment plan, or you save $1,100, $2,500.
This is why I don't get on the phone with you and John.
Okay.
You guys are amazing, man. Amazing. But no, John's like impossible to say no to. No,
Talking about John Whiting?
No,
Shooty?
yeah, John Shooty, man. I'm like, dude, I'm like, don't get on a call with me, John. I don't want to spend no more money. No, question, right?
Give me your questions
about the program. Everything that you've always offered has been amazing.
Yeah.
So I've never like had any like, you know, I've always had an amazing experience with everything that you offered. How the hell am I going to compete? Because evidently I place remote talent, VAs, salespeople, whatever the hell we want to call them nowadays. Yeah. How the hell am I going to compete in the message? So I don't cold DM because there's all these VAs that are saying, oh, you need a VA. Well, we guarantee 40 booked appointments, blah, blah, blah. And then, there's an army of like VAs with fake profiles. So I guess the question is like, how the hell would we compete against that crap? Because that's why I don't DM, because, it's like that.
So you're telling me everybody in your market looks the same, acts the same, and people are used to it, and they're just like put up their guard.
Yeah, they're like, that's why like with content.
Wouldn't the whole reason of us doing this be to position you against them?
100%.
All right. So does that answer your question?
That answers the question.
All right. Give me another objection.
There's no objection. There's everything that you always offer has been amazing.
All right. So do you want the link?
Yeah, send me the link.
All right, cool. All right. What about you, Cody? I know you need some leads, baby.
Let's do it. I'll do it right now.
All right. Go in chat.
Pull that offer back up, man. Pull that offer back up.
All right. So just so you guys know, this is full-blown training as I'm building out the training. So we're building this out together. Everything you need, I'm going to provide it. Because the way this helps me is I get to build something based off of your guys' struggles. All right. So this is going to be 10 grand at some point. You're getting it for $300 a month. All right.
Just let me see that. Just learning how to build a tribe of raving fans. That's super fucking valuable. Explode your communications, and then building a valuable network. Super valuable. So just the building the tribe and building a valuable network, this will automatically increase the sales.
Yeah.
Even if you're the shittiest person.
Well, everything that I just broke down is exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What I'm doing right now. What we did to build Bulletproof is exactly it.
This is awesome.
So messaging mastery was all the skill stuff. I'm going to give you all of that, but I'm also going to give you the exact long-term strategy to actually create some like perception, so it's not as much of a grind. And dude, you're great too. And I will tell you to handle what you were saying earlier, the more saturated your thing, the more you can, the better it is, because you can position yourself easier, because you become more unique because it's more saturated.
Well, yeah, and the way that we positioned ourselves is, and when everybody was going to the Philippines and hiring VAs, evidently I've lived overseas, I have my story, whatever, but we started recruiting VAs that only spoke English as their first language.
Yeah.
So that's the way we.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so that's a differentiating your offer. I'm going to differentiate you. Okay. Your offer is great. We can make it better, but once you differentiate the way you communicate with people, it's going to be a game changer. All right, cool. So I dropped this doc in chat. Let me know if that link works. All right, who that? All right, I think was that you, Cody? That
yes,
notification? Sir. My man.
Let's go.
We're working together, baby. You ready to crush it?
Dude, I'm hyped to crush it, man.
Dude, I'm stoked for you, man. What I'm curious, what was it that got you to dive in?
I've known that this is like a weak point of mine for a while. Like,
yeah,
I've increasingly been like more and more. This is counterintuitive, right? Focused on my business, so I only talk to people when I'm going to sell to them. So I've actually like walled myself off pretty bad, and then it's been a little bit alienating. So I'm like, literally yesterday, Haley and I were talking about this. It's like, what was I doing when I was at my best? I was going out all the time. I was building a social life, and like, I had like routines to get me into like a state in order to close or pick up or whatever I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And so perfect timing, man. And I would say that my messaging is our weakest and most unclear link. We have an awesome product. We have good relationships with our current customers.
Yeah.
But like, how do I go about messaging that? Like when I say we went viral, we had like 11.5 million views on a video. Yeah. Not a new inquiry. Something's missing in the messaging. We reached the eyeballs. Now what do we do? So
nice, man.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm really excited, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to close this gap for you, because I know it once you do, it's the flows. As soon as you get some flow of people seeing your shit, things move. All right, man. What about you, Daniel? Did you get in? I got Cody. I don't see you. And anybody on live, I dropped the link right at the bottom. You can pop in there, purchase. This is kind of my soft launch. So this is like a secret group.
I'm in.
This is going to be us 4. You're in? Danny, you got to fix your audio. That's rule number step 1. That's personal branding. Rule number 1 is you can't mute yourself.
Hold up, I'm in. Hold on.
All right, Diego. I said I got your message. What was it that got you in, man? Was it the chess stuff?
Oh yeah, I want to join. Right.
Yeah.
I guess like I need this because right now my DMs. Well, the thing you said at the beginning, I feel like DMs for me are like feels like a grinding.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible. And I feel like I used to be the guy who sent between 80 to 100 DMs per day, and I could get one yes, but other 99 people that were turned off. And actually I have the right intent. I want to provide value, but the way how I communicate my stuff feels like pushy, and I feel like people get that, and to me every day I try to send DMs I have this resistance, like a negative emotion, like, oh, it's time for me to send DMs and getting rejected. And I'm not a scammer. I try to, do my best. And people who connects with me love my stuff, but I don't know how to get to those people more, more often and breakthrough.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you feel like the biggest piece of value you'd get from based off of what we talked about here? For you to be able to solve
It's
all
hard.
that.
I took a lot of notes, like 3-5 pages of notes. But I would say that I think today I understood that when I get into this coaching thing, the mentors I had were guys who pushed me through a short-term thinking, like collect cash immediately with like short-term tactics strategy. And I've been executing that for the last year, and I feel burned out. I feel like it's a burnout strategy. That's why I feel this way. And that makes me feel upset. When, at least in your approach, I feel like I can build a community for a long term. So this is like bigger than me actually for the next 3, 5, 10 years, which is something like I want to do. And it's basically the philosophy behind, right? That thing, I think it's the most valuable thing that
hell yeah, dude.
Breakthrough.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Cool. All right. Let me look. I got one more, man. Did you get it?
You talking to me?
Yeah, talking to you.
Give me one moment. Let me go get
peer
my car.
pressure. We got peer pressure on this call. I'm
go
not
get my
gonna
car. Go get
waste
my
a
card.
great opportunity to peer
Go get my
pressure someone.
card, man. Hold on.
All right. You see, it's that social proof. You gotta use the group. Well, while we're here, we might as well, we'll talk about kind of our next game plan. So what works best for me for coaching, actually, I'm going to stop live streaming. Everybody here that is not in yet, the document is below. Grab it. Cause look, guys, everybody, if you're watching, I'm not trying to fill this group with 800 people because this is I need a tight knit people that I can train. And then you guys are going to be like the voice because you're going to get the results that you desperately need. All right. So I'm not looking for this big thing. I'm looking to help you guys because it's going to help me in the long run. All right. So, let me stop live streaming, stop recording.